Welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier, the ET Whisperer. The Enlightenment Evolution Hour is a part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Any ideas or opinions expressed by myself, the guest, or a caller may not necessarily reflect the same opinions of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. Enlightenment defined. It's the state of giving and receiving greater knowledge and understanding about a certain subject or situation. Evolution defined. The gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. So what then is Enlightenment Evolution? The state of giving and receiving greater knowledge as we develop from a simple to a more complex human being, living on Earth for our soul's experience. Welcome now and join us as we explore our Enlightenment Evolution Hour together. Hey everybody, welcome to the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I am your host, Rob Gauthier. And we are part of the Enlightenment Evolution Network. We are simulcast on the Matrix Minds Facebook page. Welcome all the minds out there. And we are also simulcasting on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour Facebook page as well as YouTube. Welcome, everybody. We have a wonderful show in store for you today. As I've said, one of the most controversial guests on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, a good longtime friend of mine, CW Chanter, amazing guy. One of my favorite people on earth, and he is here with us tonight, and he is going to share some of what he thinks, some of what he knows, and some of what he guesses. But we're going to do that after the announcements. I want to announce tonight to all my minds out there, Matrix Minds people, Matthew is doing his midnight show, and it is a live call-in show tonight. If you are not a part of the Facebook group, Matrix Minds, go there and check it out tonight. Matthew's great. We did the end of the year show together. If you're not quite sure who Matthew is, take a listen. He has an amazing experience, amazing story, and he's been running a show for over 10 years. 4 million imprints on his Facebook page this last month. So he's doing really amazing work over there, guys. Also, we are rebroadcasted and syndicated from Forbidden Knowledge News Network and Conscious Awakening Network, two great networks who have used the energy of the platform and our network, and we're sharing it with them to put that show onto their networks too. Amazing people with amazing shows, a myriad of shows on both sides. So the Enlightenment Evolution Network has brought on a new show, and that's Out There Talk with Valiant himself. Any of you who know the metal band Valiant Thor, Valiant himself, the head singer, is the host of our newest show, Out There Talk with Valiant Thor. Kalina was just on last night. I was on a couple of weeks ago. He does his show on Instagram Live. If you haven't checked that out, go check that out. Also, The Mothership every 2 weeks on Thursday. SPG, his beautiful wife, Sarah Rose, and their great friend, Lo-Fi Monk, are doing The Mothership, and they've done 2 episodes about UFO phenomenon, abductions. Was really amazing stuff. So if you guys haven't seen that, check it out. We're building on the Enlightenment Evolution Network YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed, go subscribe to our network. We're going to be making playlists, and we're going to start integrating our shows from the other platforms over to YouTube so that everyone can see them and everyone can check them out. And for next week, I will have Alan Steinfeld for the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, and he is going to be here with me next week. We're going to get into some deep talks about some of the things happening in the consciousness of the world right now and some of the things he's seeing that he thinks is important. And also, we're going to be doing a let me see. Oh, yeah. For the ET Whisper, the announcements are going to be, we have a channeling course going to be launching very soon. Check that out. If you're not part of our Padia, go over to Padia, etwhisper.padia, etwhisper /padia.com, maybe. I don't know. Go to my website. You'll be able to find it out, etwhisper.com. You'll be able to find where the courses are. We're going to be releasing that probably in the next few days for pre-launch. Once we launch it, if you want to be a part of it live, you can ask questions. And every week we're going to have a Q&A with Art for Trap or both. And that's going to be brought back through on as a part of the follow-up course. And we've already got a lot of great things there. So if you guys want to check that out, check it out. Now I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about our guest tonight, C.W. Chanter. As I said, amazing friend, amazing guy. And his bio is quite interesting if you've read it. So let's read a little together, and then we're going to bring the man in himself. C.W. Chanter originally came to public prominence in 2015, where he began broadcasting on YouTube. This is where I found him. Actually, well, we'll get into that as the show goes on. Intending at first to discuss his own spirituality, faith, and religion, Common Well Chanting, hence the C.W. Chanter. C.W. found himself more famous for his bombastic takedowns of some of the more outlandish claims and claimants in his shared world, a world he variously, yes, sorry guys, I lost my place, a world he calls voraciously the New Age Alien Contac T world, our conspiracy theory land, or just America. And as a result, his decision, CW, has experienced a lot of things that didn't make him happy, include getting sued, resulting in thousands of dollars of attorney fees and a divorce. And I'm sure we'll touch a little bit on some of these things. But he's not only an amazing guy, but he's also a good friend. And instead of telling you guys about CW, we're going to bring in CW himself. Welcome, brother. Hello, hello. Welcome to the show. Thank you for coming tonight.
And thank you so much for having me. And it's so funny. I'm sitting here. I'm just looking at the live chat, and I'm already like knee deep into the live chat and looking and saying shouting out like I watched the movie. I'm all about synchronicities now and looking at movies and media from 10, 20, 25, 30 years ago. I'm into particular loops, and 25 years ago, a movie called Cube that actually started a whole bunch of series came out, and I actually wrote down a significant amount of notes on that. And I said to myself, I said, I wonder if, based on this, if I'll see any synchronicities tomorrow about cubes. Now, look, and there are people in the live chat talking about cubes, unrelated, and cubes are a generic shape. Spheres, triangles, pyramids, cubes. The Egyptians had pyramids, and the Incas had pyramids. They must be connected. Well, slow down, right? But it's fun. It's fun. Of course they're connected because they're geometrical shapes and we're sharing in a common universe, but it's just interesting and fun to be just this early into the show and be able to say, hey, there's energy going back and forth. But Rob, I also got to tell you this. You mentioned that you're seeing Alan Steinfeld.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's next week.
The number one video on, I think, on New Realities is still you hanging out with that lovely young lady from I forget, I'm blanking on her name. But if we talk about things, I can't come on here and not know that you're having Alan on and not know that the number one video that's still posted on New Realities is you and that gal. And I'm not, looping you in with her. It's Marina, whatever her face is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I have a video on the issue with me and Rob, the funny thing, ironic thing, the weird thing, the unusual thing, things make you go, huh? Remember that old song? Things make you go, huh? CW Chanter hangs out on YouTube, debunking people all day. But then one day he shows up with Rob, the channeler. What? Right? Things make you go, huh? How does this work? Right? I have a video on my channel that says, dear New Age, like it essentially says, dear New Age community, please stop platforming Nazis. And the Nazi in question, the person I'm talking about, I'm not saying she's a Nazi. I'm not alleging that she's a Nazi, but the person that I'm talking about, the person I'm upset about is this young woman. Okay?
Yeah, I've seen.
And the issue in the UFO community that arose around her was she was posing on Facebook. She was posing all over the place in Nazi regalia, and she was making statements. I'm a reincarnated SS general. The SS were okay. People don't understand. They think the Holocaust was this. It was really this. And, I'm not going to make any assumptions about Alan Steinfeld. I'm, half Jewish, half Puerto Rican, kind of very culturally Jewish. I'm not going to make any assumptions about it. I've met Alan Steinfeld briefly. I just, as a contact, I said, hey, Alan, how you doing? I'm a big fan, whatever. But, I can't for a minute think that he wasn't aware that, and Rob, I got to charge you with this. I hate to do this to you, man, but, Rob, at a certain point, people have to stop saying, hey, gee, oh man. And they have to say, Alan, what say you? Or can we talk about this or what? And then if people say, I can't talk about that, then maybe you can say to people, are you willing to say, I brought this up to you and you said I can't talk about it or whatever? And then maybe it's not. And maybe would it be okay if I said, Alan, I brought it up to you and the official statement from Alan was, let's not talk about it. But Rob, I'm going to say to you, if he says to you, or if people say to you, Rob, let's not talk about it. And please don't say anything about bringing it up to me. Rob, I'm going to say to you, then, I'm not saying anything other than someone has said to you, keep secrets. You know what I mean? And I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not telling you like what people should do. I'm saying that for me, I can't come up here. And if I come up here and say, hey, I'm hanging out with Rob, it's enough for me to say I'm hanging out with Rob. And the channeling thing, though I've said things about other channelers, Rob gets a pass for various reasons because he's a decent dude and I've never seen him do X, Y, or Z that I've seen other people do. So I'm okay with this, that, and the other thing. And until he does X, Y, and Z, I'm okay. But it's another thing to say this thing is wide out in the open. I'm just not going to mention it. I don't play that game. I don't play we're just not going to talk about, like, I can't, you know what I mean? That's like hypocrisy. It's like rank hypocrisy to make a video saying, stop being silent about people having this gal on that had Nazi regalia on and then just acting like nothing happened and then come up here and act like nothing happened. Yo, you know what I mean? If I do that, all that's going to end up happening is that tomorrow I'm going to wake up to no videos about me because no one makes videos about me, but whatever, no posts about me because no one makes posts about me. But the possibility that someone could say, dude, you're just out here fucking, sorry about, you're just out here giving passes, you're just, BS.
F-bombs are all right. No,
okay.
I'll
still try to keep them minimal. I'll take
you make a good point. You make a good point. And Alan is coming here next.
I'm not trying to make a point on you. And I'm just saying it's like basically for me, I can't not say something. Do you know what I mean?
No. It's something you've been passionate about. You, like you said, you have heritage in half of you being Jewish, half Puerto Rican, and then Kalina and her family does. So yeah, it's a sore subject.
Hey, bro,
it's something that's been in our community.
Can I tell you something? This is my attitude about it is that even if no one had any ethnic heritage involving, Jews, gypsies, blacks,
it's
whatever,
still a worthwhile conversation.
How about this? How about compassion for Marina? What's her face? She's making an ass out of herself on Facebook. She's ruining her life. These people are doing things. I don't know. Here's what happens. I think sometimes people interpret one historical event, the election of a given person to a elected office, whatever, a online phenomenon, whatever, and they think that there's some sort of radical change that's taking place that is going to change the global change that we've seen, and they make rash, stupid decisions about coming out and saying nutty things like this whole, whatever, people coming out in support of, certain allegedly insider letter-based, political organization, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, some people are going to look like real jerks. And you know what I mean? In this, because that whole thing turned out to be, it appears to be nonsense. I'm not judging anybody for making political decisions that generally align to the left or to the right. I'm just saying that thing, the theory that there was something going on there that was going to move things into a certain array that was going to set things up for real change in 2021 or whatever, or 2019 or whatever, obviously did not come to pass.
Yeah,
right?
the Q stuff
Yeah,
dropped
the
on
Q
its
stuff
face
did
pretty
not,
heavy.
it did
Right.
not vest. I
No,
don't know where I was going. I just say, you know what I mean? Like, people like, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know where I was
this is
going with that.
something that's been talked about in our community a lot, and I do want to touch on this as we go through too. And fair dues, Alan will be here next week. I will
I
be able
remember what I
to
was going to
talk
say.
to him
I
about that. Yeah,
apologize. I
yeah, sure.
remember, just let me finish. So what ended up happening is that a lot of people, I think, thought we won and we can come out here and we can say all these crazy, gross things about our beliefs. And they thought it was, copacetic and cool. And, no, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think that I don't want to see the day when Nazi regalia just becomes like, like Marilyn Manson. I get it. Like it's a cool look, like black. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to look bad. Like stormtroopers, like they went all black in the later movies for a reason, right? It's a good Darth Vader. It's a good look. Do you know what I mean? Accentuate with the red armband. I understand why Dipsy Doodle didn't understand world history and thought, was attracted to it, but she still ruined her life because, no offense, she's never going to get a secretary job because they're going to find those friggin' photos. You're not allowed to dress up like a Nazi, even unless you're in a movie. I guess you could play. I'm not. If you're out there, young lady, here's the spin because I like people. Number one, stop being an idiot. There's my first piece of advice. Free. Second one's going to cost you. No, here's the second free piece of advice. When they find those photos of you, you say, I was in a movie called SS Nazi Girls versus Zombie Werewolf Weirdos. And if they say no, say, oh, I was a prostitute. And they say, okay. Because those are better than the things that you were actually saying on the internet. That's just, and then we're done with that. I apologize. Then we're done with that.
Well, it's a hell of
I had
to start the show. That's
Dude,
one way to do it.
and it was all because and it was ironically because I don't know if it's ironic. It was Alan Steinfeld was like, and Alan Steinfeld's like, oh man, please, why?
Well,
And Alan Steinfeld's probably out there like, there's a problem reading on the internet.
I'm sure. I'm almost positive he's had to have heard about it from
And he'd
someone.
be like, oh, come on. It's not even a big deal. And I'm Jewish. Oh, maybe she was. Maybe she was. Or maybe it was in another timeline. That happens. Maybe it was another timeline. For all we know, or maybe it was like a recovered memory, or maybe it was some sort of honeypot thing. All I know is on September 11th, I saw a UFO as well. There's something going on. Okay? And whether she's everyone's a part of it. Everyone has a little piece of the puzzle. Okay? She's not a Nazi. She didn't put anyone in the gas chamber. Okay, Rob? Tell that young man to shut up.
Well,
And scene. Don't tell me I don't watch Alan Steinfeld.
Yeah, no, him having the amount of people who watch him both for good and bad reasons. I'm almost sure he had to bring it, and it's something fair to talk about because I think even after everything kind of blew up for her, she was back on his show anyway. So I think
He
to be
doesn't give a damn.
honest,
Listen, when I say that he doesn't give a darn, it's not. There's some people who when you heard what I said of coming out of his mouth when I like do an imitation of someone. It's not that I think when I say that some people don't give a damn, they don't give a damn because it's a profit motive. I believe that Alan is a total 100% true believer, right?
oh,
He
for
is
sure.
on the quest for the Holy Grail, and the Holy Grail is we're going to make the contact. It's happening. It's ET contact in our lifetime. It's ET contact in my lifetime, in your lifetime, and in not our lifetime now, the lifetime we call now, our reincarnations. We've been here for thousands of years. We'll be here for 1,000 lifetimes more. Here, there, across the galaxy, across the universe. But here on Earth, things are coming together, and they're coming together now. And, he is on that quest, and we're all on it with him. And I'm on it with him. I've been watching New Realities, dude, since like I started watching YouTube since like 2000, no joke, 2006.
Oh yeah,
Right
yeah.
when the
He's been on it
when if
forever.
you wanted to watch stuff, this sort of stuff, some of the stuff you got was it was Project Camelot. Remember when this sort of stuff started on YouTube? I don't know about it
Yeah,
when
no.
I was here on Jump
Project
Street,
Camelot and then it
right?
turned to
And
Avalon, right?
right, and what it was it wasn't even made for YouTube. It was those jokers. It was New Realities, which was it was him uploading his old right basic cable, like friggin' what is it? It was public access TV from New
Public
York
access,
City.
yeah, yeah.
It was New Realities, was public access TV from like the earliest episodes are from like 1992 or something. It was crazy
I
that
didn't know
he
that.
uploaded by hand onto friggin' YouTube. God bless him. Goddess bless him.
I
I mean,
did
he
not
did
know that.
work. I
Yeah,
mean, I love Alan Steinfeld.
I saw him. The first stuff I saw was probably back during the interview of Daryl and Bashar when Daryl was,
Right,
10 years younger than what he was when I came on YouTube around 2010. Yeah,
right. And so but Alan but the problem is this is that you've got guys like Alan Steinfeld who in a leadership position, their leadership position is this he has a real old guard, what I know is the old guard new age approach, which is positivity, positivity, positivity. White light leads us to the glory. Negativity, negativity, negativity. Negativity is ichor. It leads us to black tar. It's going to drag us down to lower vibrations we must avoid. So whenever anything comes to the things that go to basic hygiene, I think Jay-Z Knight is doing something, really weird. No, please, we let's not talk. We're not here to talk about negativity. We're not here to talk about who did what to whom. We're not here to gossip. We're here to talk about our messages of positivity for 2012, for the harmonic convergence, and that works. But the unfortunate thing is, it may work to pump, and get New Realities, going from public access to YouTube and doing some work to generate steam for stuff, but it also generates a lot of cover for a lot of people to get away with a lot of stuff. I mean, the guy that sued me, the guys that get away with, you know, taking people's money and using people and straight up using people. We know that there's stories about people coming out on their commune saying, I wonder who I'm going to meet this time, who I've met in the past past incarnation, which is code for I wonder who I'm going to try and hook up with and hit on. I wonder who I'm going to try and convince was my tantric student in a former lifetime, and we just have to complete that one last lesson that they need. In other words, what young woman I'm going to slither my 60-something-year-old, sleazebag body on. Do I sound like the words that I just said are words that you said, Mr. Whoever you are? Well, that sounds like a lot of people know your game, right?
well,
You're straight up busted, dude.
well,
Everyone knows your game.
Well, this is the thing. This our community's filled with horrific things, and that's why I friended you immediately, because a lot of our perspectives on the bad parts of this community are very similar. But before we dive deeper in this, we got to get people to know you, because some people have no
Okay,
clue who
sure.
you are.
Yeah, I know.
So
Rein me
tell
in.
us.
Actually, you know what? Rein this crazy ox in, because if we're not careful, this bad boy will rant about offshore sea rights and the problem with the tax protocols in Fukushima, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, and that's our show. And
And we're
so
done, guys.
yeah, check
Later.
out CW Chanter's channel, and maybe you'll understand who he is.
Well, let's do the thing that we do first, even though we're 24 minutes in. The first question that I do.
Welcome to the CW Chanter channel. For what it's here's what we could say. We've certainly given people a taste of the CW Chanter experience. I am like a Fish concert and or the Grateful Dead. If you subscribe to my first of all, don't subscribe to my main. You'll subscribe to my main channel, but my main channel is not the main channel that I'm working anymore. I'm on my RPG channel now because we are going to hack the Matrix. Cue me up. You do you, but it's going to be madness. Everything, all you need to know about me is that I'm CW Chanter. This is my boy Rob Gauthier, and we are like the Hulk Hogan. We are good. This is all you need to know. I'm going to say what you need to know, and then this is what's up. We are like, I'm Hulk Hogan, he's Andre the Giant, but we're like post that whole the first WrestleMania when we were enemies.
We're approaching WrestleMania 3.
We're approaching WrestleMania 3. We're down through that arc, so now we're like, who do we get in? Well, why do we? I forget. We're bros. You know what I mean? There's the set, and we're gonna dominate, and we're gonna take over. I forgot. I did the setup, and then I forgot the last part of the promo, which was what we're actually gonna do, which is we're gonna kick ass and take names. Okay, I'm sorry. There you go. No. As you were saying.
All right. Well, first of all, tell us before you tell us, why you are you and how you are you. Tell us what molded you going through.
Ask me why I am who I am.
Well, why and who? That's always the.
Do you ask people that question? Do you ask people why they are who they are?
Not why they are who they are, but how they got to being who they are, which tells us why they are who they are. What happened? What happened through your childhood, through your adulthood, that gave you the beliefs? Yeah. People give me answers all the time.
People must be giving you like these shoehorn answers. So you just asked me. First of all, do you know that my thought? Hold on, let me tell you something. If you thought that, okay, let me tell you something. We're gonna do this real quick because if we don't do this quick, we're gonna be here for until the Matrix resolves. Okay, honey. When I used to describe people why I was, how I was, the way I was, my father, in strictly scientific terms, was a narcissistic sociopath. Okay. But the way I would describe him to people, his mannerisms and his behaviors, I would tell people, I go, my father was, to me and in many other ways and to other people, he was like a perfect 50-50 combination between, and unfortunately, some people get these cultural references, some people won't. Darth Vader from Empire Strikes Back and Thornton Mellon, who was Rodney Dangerfield's character from Back to School. Do you know that movie?
I do not that one. I've seen lots of Rodney Dangerfield. I probably have seen it, but I don't remember it by that name. You have not seen lots of Rodney Dangerfield movies, because if you saw lots of Rodney Dangerfield movies, you would have definitely seen Back to School. Because that's like me saying like, oh man, I've seen I don't know what that'd be like me saying, oh, I've seen a lot of Eddie Murphy comedy films, but I haven't seen Raw. Okay. Fair. I probably have seen it then. It was in the 80s. I was young. I was probably like 6, 7, 8.
It's okay. You haven't seen it. But
I shouldn't have been watching
it. And anyway, anyone who's old enough knows those references and basically got it, which is basically like, yeah, I don't think we're going to want to peel any more layers on this guy's childhood, or we may indeed be here for a while.
Well, that's all right. Fair enough.
No. So like, I mean, we come through a complicated journey. I mean, I understand that. Here's the thing, Rob. When we started this conversation, I said to you, I said, here's the real issue. It's like, I'm like Lloyd Dobler at the dinner table. I know that at the Enlightenment Evolution Hour, people may come to this space kind of ready to position themselves and, not to disparage anyone, but kind of like sell themselves. Like, I am this person. I am a tarot card reader. I am a crystal light worker, aura transfixer. I mean, I don't know, or whatever, I am this, I do that. This is my services. This is my journey. And they're ready because they know, that they are entering a field that, where services are offered and people are looking for people that offer services and people are evaluating practitioners. So they're looking at bios and they're like, when you asked me for a bio, I was like, I didn't even know like what a 100 or 200 page, bio would look like. I thought it was going to be War and Peace. And I turned to my ex-wife and I said, you want to make some extra scratch? And she said, what? I said, I said, this guy has asked me for a bio. I said, do you want to make a little extra money, like writing for me? She goes, like, what? I goes, like, he goes, I think he's like 100, 200. She goes, pages? I said, no, words. She goes, Ben, she goes, you don't need someone to help you write 100, 200 words. And I go, I
That's
think I
3
do.
CW sentences.
I know. She goes, you really don't. And I was like, oh, and yeah, she was right. But I was like, I don't know. The point is this, is that like, I don't have any of that stuff. Like, I'm not like in a box. Like, so it's like hard for me to be like, and like, I don't know, like, I don't even know who I am. Like, I'm not, who, I don't know who I am, let alone why I'm this way. If I knew why I was this way, I wouldn't be here on the Enlightenment Evolution Hour with you. I'd be telling you why I was that way, because that would probably help you. Do you know who you are? Do you think you know who you are?
Oh, we all have a lot to find. I think that's the whole journey of life, is figuring out that.
So given that, what do you? Why are you asking people this question that you know that they can't possibly give you an actual responsive answer to?
Let me ask you this then,
okay,
because
sorry.
this is the question, the more proper way, the more accurate way. What?
No, I'm being a jerk. I think I'm being an idiot. Can we start? Can I give me that question again? I'm sorry.
All right. What in your childhood, in your adulthood, what things did you go through that made you excited to do the types of work you're doing today? What things were you doing in your childhood that opened you up to be wanting to jump on YouTube and do everything else? Yeah.
No, my motivations were pain. I was, you know what I mean? Like, I understand. I think that's part of, maybe part of, so I came almost here like on a religious quest, not a spiritual quest. So my childhood was very, very painful, despite the fact that I was raised in a very affluent, rich house. And that was part of the problem, right? In a rich house, there's not supposed to be any pain. Therefore, no one assumes there's pain there. Therefore, no one really asks. And also everyone's being told, if you do anything, if you say anything about this, what's going to happen. What's going to happen is, dad's going to go away, and then, the money's going to go away, and you're going to be poor and destitute. And if you're poor and destitute, oh man, you're going to really end up being, fucked over. So whatever's happening to you in this house, you're better off with the toys and the stuff and the roof over your head and all this stuff and keeping your brother safe, whatever, than anything else. And also, my father was Jewish and my mother was not. So half of my family that were Jewish kind of like despised me and my brother and thought that we were kind of like acted as though there was something, kind of, amiss and wrong with us. My mom didn't convert. She had, kind of a very prideful stance on, I don't know if it was a prideful stance, but there was some sort of, she did not convert, and whether it was when my parents got together, they thought that one was going to change and the other one thought the other one was going to change or whatever. It turned that religion in the household turned into an issue of acrimony, and what was supposed to be good times in the household, like Hanukkah and Christmas, turned out to be painful times. So there was a lot of money and wealth and good stuff and toys being thrown around, but people were like trying to buy the kids' love with like Christmas and Hanukkah became this competition. And if my father didn't like kind of win the competition, like things like if around Christmas, like trees would get knocked over. It was a terrible thing. It was just not so I knew early on that I was even a smart enough kid to know. It's like, the one people are, it's not like they were, one was Buddhist and one was Jewish, or one was, Muslim and the other was, Hindu. My father was Jewish, and, Jesus was supposed to be a Jew. The incomprehensibility and the contradictions between these two storylines were readily apparent to me as a child. So at like 6 years old, I remember being like an atheist. And I remember at 6 years old telling, basically my father, I said, this is ridiculous. I'm an atheist. This is patently obvious. I said, number one, if there's a God, there's no way that he would make me and my, at that point, infant brother, like, experience these things. You know what I mean? And I said, the second of all, I said, it doesn't make any sense. I said, one of you is wrong. I said, this whole thing is ridiculous. And of course, then, there, beatings or whatever. Like the whole thing was obviously, but at the same time, I was obsessed with religion because I could see that, there was this tribalism and there was, there were churches everywhere and there was people, and obviously people got some sort of support from this thing. And I was obsessed with religion. I was really always interested in religion and the things about religion and, the marriages and deaths and ceremonies and rituals and like this going on. And I was always very interested in this. So then I would, go into my adolescence and my post-adolescence. And when I've gotten interested in music and stuff, I became interested in like the occult and Satanism and, mysticism and spirituality and psychic phenomena. and that kind of dovetailed into a lot of religious things and spiritual things. And then when I got into like, I don't know, like around like I got into industrial music around 93, 94, and there was a heavy influence with William Burroughs and occult influence with Aleister Crowley on bands like Throbbing Gristle and Cabaret Voltaire. And so I was turned on to that stuff. And also there was a very high, there was a big interest in that community with things like thought control and mind control and cults. There was a band called the Hafler Trio that would always investigate things like Scientology and cults and mind control and stuff. And so I became very interested in cults. And through that, I became interested in Hare Krishna and started collecting books from fringe religious organizations like Scientology and the Hare Krishnas. And I became involved in Scientology and the Hare Krishna communities, via those avenues. And then I quickly, got out of that. And then my journey became basically trying to find the right religion as I was suffering through, alcoholism and drug abuse. And I was, being told, you got to find a higher power, and you got to find, I knew that I needed to find some sort of religion, but I couldn't find one that really worked. At the end of the day, I decided to formulate my own religion. And this happened over a course of an evolution. And over this course of the evolution, there were evolutions in my life, positive evolutions and negative evolutions. At negative evolutions and ebbs, I thought to myself, fuck this shit. I'm going to be like L. Ron Hubbard. I'm going to take advantage of people. I'm going to get that money, honey. Get laid, get paid. Fuck you. You make me feel like less of a man because you're bigger than man than me. Well, then, Guru Man says do 1,000 push-ups. And, actually I made videos like this where I admitted that I had dark moments where I thought about that. And there was this douche nozzle named Unirock who took a video that I made where I was candid enough to say, at dark places in my life, I thought about, frigate, I'm going to use this brain to hurt people like they hurt me. And I said, but I decided not to. And I said, that was the wrong way to do it. So I de-weaponized this thing called Common Well Chanting. I tried to take everything. I tried to study religions and cults to understand everything that turned a guru into a control mechanism to hurt people, everything that turned dogma. And I tried to get it out of Common Well Chanting. I tried to make a religion that could be the maximum religion to be a thing that could sustain itself over time and be there for people, but not be a control thing and not hurt people. Whether I succeeded or not, I created it. You can go to my channel, CW Chanter, and find out about Common Well Chanting. You can write me an email at c.w.chanter@gmail.com, and I'll send you a little PDF document that basically gives you a bit of it. You know what I mean? It's not like some sort of definitive statement of it. It's just one statement of it. That's just part of the thing. I also read tarot cards and whatever, and I carry on. Then I started the CW Chanter channel in 2015 on my 40th birthday. To spread, to just talk about religion and my religion and spread Common Well Chanting. Then, within short order, I said, oh my God, I thought, going on YouTube, I thought, oh, Project Camelot video gets 500,000 views. Like I look on the bottom of a video with some douche jerk, whatever, from Project Camelot's got 500,000 views. So I think, oh, new age video on YouTube equals 500,000 views. So I think I'm going to go on YouTube, right? I think I'm going to go on YouTube. I've got a new age spiritual video. It's going to get that many views. So I make these videos on YouTube and I say, hey, wait, there's a disconnect. I'm saying cool stuff. I'm saying stuff that's like pretty well thought out, kind of like what I know is like better than these like kind of schmooze. Like, because at the time that I came out, there was this guy called the Ruiner, Shane the Ruiner, who had this thing called the Ruiner blog that is like, he literally, I ended up knowing this guy, and I talked to him even recently on, Instagram via, a DM a little bit back and forth. We talked about talking. I'm on the fence about talking because it's a weird situation, but he admitted to, when I started talking, he wrote this thing on his phone, while he was a security guard at a friggin' like, not a security guard, like to say that it's like diminishing his job, but like, basically he wrote this thing on a friggin' like a friggin' cell phone. And it's like, on the 30th day, the queen of the vampire, Orion, race confronted me and said, "You will do my bidding." And I said to her, "No, I won't. I won't compromise humanity for you. Not anymore. I'm done with that." And she said, "You will come to know us eventually." And then I left. And it's like, and that would be the entry. And I would see that guy would get an interview and it would be like 12,000 views. And I'd be like, this, and it pissed me off. And it set me off in more ways than one, in a radical direction. And then the CW Chanter experience became something that it wasn't intended to be. And mild-mannered CW Chanter came to YouTube on his 40th birthday to spread a message of, hey, this is just my little take on religion and spirituality, and hey, maybe we'll talk about spirituality and religion with other people, and maybe some of those thoughts will be controversial, but hopefully not. It turned into, and let me put this guy on trial, and pretty soon, blood in the water. For a new age community that's all about light and love, it's funny.
Yeah.
Because if there's an actual controversy, if someone did something wrong, if someone said the bad word, if someone screwed up, there's all of a sudden.
Yeah, every shark in the pool is over there. Absolutely.
So, but I don't want to go I'll keep going if you want the because there's more. But I want to be like Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Do you know the poem Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner?
I'm not that cultured, unfortunately.
Anyway, it's Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. The whole premise of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is that there's this. It's a Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is an epic poem, right? It's like Gilgamesh. It goes on. It's like a modern poem by Gilgamesh standards. I think it's like from the 1800s or whatever. Whatchamacallit? Iron Maiden did a song version of it that's like 16 minutes long. So I'll tell you how long this is. Look at the break. It's incredible. So anyway, the whole premise of this thing is that there's the way that the poem starts. Remember, this is like an epic poem. So it goes on for like 108 pages, right? It's a poem, but it goes on. It's like a novella. It goes on for like 1,000,000 pages. So the way the whole thing is set up is the only people that you're supposed to know about is that there's this guy, the mariner, and there's a wedding guest. And what happens is that this guy is going to a wedding. He's a wedding guest. And he's on his way to a wedding, and all of a sudden this guy approaches him, basically. And he's all disheveled, he's fucked up, and he's like, and the guy is like, oh, let me tell you who I am. And the wedding guest is like, oh, I'm on my way to a wedding. And the Ancient Mariner is like, I gotta tell you who I am. And the wedding guest is like, I'm on my way to a wedding, my man. Like, I really do mind. And he's like, please, just a moment of your time to tell you basically who I am. And the wedding guest is like, fine. Like kind of acting like, oh, meaning like you're gonna tell me like, hi, I'm Sam Del Smith from Corp, and I was a winesmith, and when the tragedy befell me and the wine fields went fallow, look what became me. But what ends up happening is that the Ancient Mariner then opens up his mouth and is basically recites Moby Dick. Like he gets on a boat happy, and he's like with his friends, and they're on a boat, and it's like they're like fishing, and it's like everything's fantastic. And like 16 minutes of Iron Maiden later, everyone's dead but him. He's cursed to wander the earth forever, basically to accost people to tell them his tragic tale. And only thing that people can remember is the following: don't kill an albatross. If you're ever at sea and you're tempted to say, I'm going to shoot that albatross, don't do it.
So that's where that little part came from, with the albatross around the neck, and
yeah, it's exactly where it comes from.
Okay,
that's exactly
I knew that little schism, but I didn't know where it came from. So
the albatross around the neck comes from the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Now you know. My God, I'm burning time on Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Now listen, can I tell you? Now, Rob, what gets even funnier is this. Does this get funny? It gets funnier? Oh, well, if it gets funnier, that'd be great, because if it gets funnier, then there's a possibility that it might get
funny,
right? And let's leave it there. There was a young man outside of the pet food store, not like the vet, yesterday. and they're still keeping us outside because brilliance. Anyway, and I'm talking to him. We're like, basically the amount of time to just basically look at each other had expired, and we were required by like, you know, mannerism to acknowledge each other and like ask each other our names or whatever. And we started talking, and I mentioned Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, and basically he was like, "Oh, I don't know it." He was like a younger man. I said, "Well, they don't teach it to you in high school anymore." And he was basically like, conceded the fact that like they don't basically teach them anything in high school anymore. Like they like Common Core is like basically they're like, even the teachers are like, "What?" You know what I mean? Like, just here's your degree, go. What, you know what I mean? Like, just tell the colleges you learned how to read or whatever. But so I mentioned it to him, and like I was trying to explain it to him, and he had even less comprehend. Like, at least you knew about the albatross around the neck. Like, at least you had some point of reference. I got home and I told my ex-wife, the educator, I started telling her the story, and I'm trying to tell her the irony, because the whole premise of Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is that he accosts the wedding guest and tells him this long, extensive story. So I'm telling her the irony of me accosting this young man outside of the veterinary thing to tell him about Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. And it wasn't until after that I'd already got in the car that the irony hit me that I had bothered him about Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Now, she's an educator, so I'm thinking to myself, so she knows this. And she goes, well, she went to a Catholic high school, so she never heard Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. So now I'm 0 for 3 on Rhyme of the Ancient fucking Mariner.
Well, we almost covered the what was it, the laws in Fiji international water, as you said before.
Oh, Jesus. Almost. And we didn't even cover it. Almost covered it, right? Had we covered it, we would have covered something.
Well, it's beautiful to hear you chat about pretty much everything, but I'm interested, as are a lot of people too. You know, this part of going into this community, uh, doing what you wanted to do to kind of get focus into this CW chanting. What are the things that you did? Because you're a sociologist too, aren't you? Didn't you go through sociology?
No, I no. Well, I got an undergraduate degree in basically it was considered philosophy, but it's a joke. An undergraduate degree is basically when you get a major in something. So we basically took like 3 extra classes in it. I have a law degree. You know, I graduated from law school and I passed the bar exam. So I'm a bard and practicing attorney.
Certified lawyer, yeah.
For what it's worth, though, my practice is pivoting, as it were. I did not find the traditional practice of law comforting. I didn't find it enjoyable. So now that life has basically opened up opportunities to pivot, we are, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing, you know, a little bit more consulting stuff, and we're exploring more avenues like that, because, you know, to try and get away from the, you know, the traditional litigants stuff.
Yeah,
if that answers, you know,
yeah,
where
no, that
you mentioned sociology, so I think that was going
well,
to
I'm trying
my
to figure out
background.
the whole part of creating this CW chanting, or the Common Well chanting. You said you did it for an extremely good cause, to take dogma, to take you know, all of these negative aspects that are in religion, and to take them out so that people could have something positive and good. And I'm trying to figure out, was it just your experience that you went through with seeing the religion and your obsession of religion and learning about
Yeah,
religion that
you
brought you
know,
that?
so what had happened was the attempt was to avoid the cognitive dissonance that I had experienced going to the various different religions. So going from, you know, I tell people, I go, you know, I was involved in the Church of Satan, I was involved in Scientology, I was involved in the Christian consciousness. I tried on a lot of different things. AA, you know, there's a lot of different churches that I joined. And what the dance always was this, and oh, I have to go through this crazy philosophical jungle to get get that stuff, right?
Right.
I have to, you know, compromise and accept that, like with the Christian consciousness thing, with Common Well Chanting, that, you know, what it was is like when I went to Krishna consciousness, it was, the celebration and the chanting of God's name and all that stuff was wonderful and beautiful. But then when that chanting stopped and they would start saying things like, and, you can only take, a cold shower. And if you use, hot water during the shower, it's a decadent enjoyment of the body. And, is it worth, 100 lifetimes of suffering? And I'd be like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about? Or like God is blue. And, and there would be like these long, extensive debates about whether or not, someone had committed this, egregious crime because on Shiva's birthday, they had the audacity of dressing the Krishna Murti in Shiva's, sacred cloth, as what they thought was a tribute. But then someone found a book from 1852 that said, this one Krishna conscious Gudaya Vishnaya priest said that, one must never do that because of this line in the Srimad Bhagavatam. It was, it's this dogma. It would be nuts. And it would be, or then I'd go to Scientology, forget about Scientology and the stuff with, money or the control mechanisms and stuff. And so finally what ended up happening was I took everything that I experienced. I said, what are the commonalities? And I just kind of workshopped it to figure out what was there common to everything, to figure out kind of basically how the system worked. And then I tried to create like a kite. A kite has to be together enough that it can hold together, that you can see it in space floating through the sky, so you can see a visual display. And it's got to be together enough so that the wind doesn't totally, completely blow it away. But if it's too solid, if you put too much weight and security into it, man, that mother ain't going to fly. It's going to be too heavy.
Right.
So you want to be loose enough that it can fly and be free and go where it needs to go. But you need it to be firm enough that it can be, have some sort of structure. But what I would tell people is that the best thing to do is that what I ended up finding out over time was with Common Well Chanting is this. The thing became a totality. There was a private practice of Common Well Chanting, which is just this. You read a spiritual text every day. And it could be any spiritual text, and you can read multiple spiritual texts. And a spiritual text is a spiritual text if you define it as a spiritual text. And I accept the fact that someone might come along and say, I think that Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf is a spiritual text. Common Well chanters do not need to tell other Common Well chanters. In fact, they're not supposed to tell other Common Well chanters what they think is a spiritual text or not a spiritual text. It's not important. All that is important for individual Common Well chanters to identify those books that they think are spiritual texts and make a vow to read. It's not a vow to anybody other than themselves to read a spiritual text every day. Why? Reading vitamins is, getting your vitamins every day is good. The world is defined as secular, right? The majority of things that you will be exposed to is secular shit. Expose yourself to a little spirituality, even if it's not true. This religion is good. I'm an atheist and I practice a religion. Why? Because humans practice religion forever and I'm a human. So whether or not it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't particularly like sports, but I'm aware of the fact that sports is a thing. So if there's a documentary about sports on, I might take a look at it. If it might find it engrossing, I might not. But I'm aware of the fact that sports is a thing that people do. And religion is a thing that everybody does. Right? Not everybody does baseball. Everybody does sports. Everybody does games. We'll get to that. But everybody does religion. Everybody does what the hell happens to us when we die. Everybody does, my God, keep this baby alive. Everybody does, what does this all mean? Everybody does, oh God, get me through this, get me through this. Oh God, get me through this, get me through this. Everybody needs, and everybody seems to go to this thing we call religion, spirituality, what? And some people say we go there because it really is, and it really always has been there. And some people say we go there because we really are just kind of, I don't know, accidentally. It's in the DNA. It's a survival mechanism. It's evolutionary biology. It's something stupid that monkeys do. Scared monkey, no control. God, daddy, help. Right?
Yeah.
Crying out to nobody. Maybe someone will come get you. Got to cry out to somebody. just because you're crying out to somebody, and just because that makes you feel some sort of better something, doesn't necessarily mean a little control, perhaps doesn't necessarily mean that there's anything. But if you felt that little bit of control, does that mean that there was something there? You experienced it. What do we define reality as other than that which is experienced? That's why whenever I did this whole debunking thing on YouTube, I never, ever went after anyone I thought, and I immediately stopped whenever I thought someone was really kind of experiencing it. You know what I mean? Rob, when you do your channeling thing, I put you in one of those categories. I don't put you in the category of those people that I think are not mentally sane. I'm not, whatever. I don't know what the technical term is. There are some people that are suffering from some sort of what the psychologists would call some sort of psychological sequela, some sort of mental disturbance. I think you're doing the religion thing. I think you're doing what I do when I channel, which is closing your eyes and engaging in some sort of what I understand to be a attempt to meditate past the ego to get to some sort of kind of like automatic writing. And I understand, and I accept that you understand it as contacting some real beings that are really extant outside of yourself as separate entities, and I understand them as fictional aspects of Rob Gauthier, right? Like Darth Vader, like Doctor Doom is an aspect of Spike Lee. I mean, Spike Lee. I'm sorry. Yes. Booyah!
Probably him too. Yeah.
Yeah. Who am I thinking of? Stan Lee. At the end of Mallrats, one of the guys is desperate to meet Stan Lee, who's at a comic book signing, and Stan Lee makes a cameo appearance in this movie Mallrats by Kevin Smith. And Stan Lee explains to this young guy who's enamored of all these comic book characters and asking Stan Lee all these questions about comic books. Well, Stan Lee is trying to redirect the kid, the young man. It's a 20-year-old something guy. The 20-year-old something guy is friggin' fucking up his life. He's losing an amazing woman is what's happening. And he's not even caring about it. All he cares about is comics and what Dr. Doom's dick looks like or whatever. And Stan Lee is like, dude, listen. And he's explaining to him things like, these characters that you think are so great, these are aspects of like, pain, like Dr. Doom is like in this, scarified mask because, there's aspects of me that I had to explain, I had to express that are a burnt emperor, like the whole concept of Dr. Doom, is, he's not a weak person. He's rich as fuck. He's the king of this like Latvian country. Like Dr. Doom can run some shit. He can do everything apparently under the sun except fix his face. Right?
Yeah.
And so everyone throughout the entire Marvel universe has got chicks out the band except Dr. Doom for whatever fucking reason. And the thing that's so crazy about it is that you see Dr. Doom build spaceships to the friggin' moon. Dr. Doom has acquired godlike powers, right? Dr. Doom can do like, you know what I mean? Dr. Doom has defeated during the Secret Wars, helped to defeat the Beyonder. So why doesn't Dr. Doom fix his fucking face? Because if Dr. Doom fixes his face, Dr. Doom ceases to exist. Dr. Doom exists as an aspect, as an emanation, as an avatar of pain. He's a living thing. I mean, it's very real. I could talk about him. We can touch him. We can feel him. You can experience him. So these things, it's not like they're not real, but bro, right? I mean, the notion that I'm going to go to some like Treb's home planet and meet this fucking dude and be like, yo, like really like, oh, that is your spinneret. You really do have an asshole, bro. I don't, hey, that's where I guess, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how hardcore you are about it, but it is what it is.
Well, this is why me and you have been able to get along. We have a different feeling on the aspect of what I do, but in a way we don't, because I can't personally fly out to a planet and say, "Hey, where's Treb at?" So I know that there's very just as likely an explanation for what I experience as there is AT. Do I feel the experiences of my life have kind of proven to me? Yeah, but I don't expect other people to understand what I'm experiencing. Just like if two people are doing a meditation and they share a common theme, they're not going to have the same meditation.
Right.
Two people take mushrooms,
Right.
they're not going to have the same experience. And I can't prove what my experience is to people.
Right. And I
So,
hope you like, and I hope you understand that I think that whether or not Treb exists on the home planet, I think is the most absolutely irrelevant aspect of Treb whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, even whether or not you went to the home planet and saw Treb, or whether or not you experienced Treb in your mind, the experience of Treb is exactly the fucking same. Right. Because
right,
whether you went to his home planet or whether you just experienced in your brain, your experience is be exactly the same. You'd still be experiencing, you know, sensory input. No, you'd still be just experiencing what your brain is telling you is the sensory input. Like you've never seen anything. I've never seen anything. Like when we talk about you go to this home, you go to onto a ship and go to a home planet. Like this is like the brain in the jar philosophical experiment. How would you know that you had actually gone onto a ship and gone to any planet?
right.
Right? What, like if whether or not, like, so that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't, I don't care about whether or not Treb exists in your medulla oblongata, or whether what's his home planet supposed to be called? Do you know?
It's in Capella. I mean, it's not really a name, but yeah, Yit
Was it?
would be the
Oh, yes.
closest.
Whether it's your medulla oblongata there, it doesn't matter to me. Well, all that matters to me is what the fuck did he say? What does it mean to people? Does it hurt people or does it help people? Is it going this way or is it going that way? Right.
Right.
That's all that matters to me, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be experiences to people. Because at the end of the day, if you said that you went to the planet or didn't go to the planet, if other people didn't go to the planet either, they'd still be taking your word for it.
Right. Correct.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's kind of my measure of it too. Has it made my life better? Yes. Has it helped other people? Yes. And those things to me are the most meaningful part. And I think that's why you haven't, because I'm one of the only channelers you haven't really thrown up on the in the pool of sharks and let the blood rise, right? Because and I know you're moving away from that aspect of your work, but I appreciate that part of your work because I have skeptical parts of me too, and a lot of people in our community share what they do share. It's frustrating to see, a lot of the people who you entangled with, who made it quite hard for your life. I mean, I felt the same way about that guy from the first time I'd seen him.
Mm.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah,
So
yeah. So I mean, look, so here's what I think, Rob. The time has come for something new. We have had X number of years of the service industry spiritual community, right? The supermarket of readers, channelers, this, that, and the other thing. I'm not telling people not to do what they do. What I am telling people to do is not sell themselves in boxes, or like, just like maybe we could work collectively to break down this kind of consumer model of marketing things as packages and like services, and I'm this and I do that. Like that's like the whole thing, like with like this whole like game thing. I think we need to break down pre-existing models, because people do pay a lot of lip service to we want change, we want change, we want change. And if we think about the whole thing with the whole QAnon thing that we mentioned, is that if in lieu of actual organic good change, people will express themselves psychotically.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like also with the kind of like the guy that came after me. It's like, in lieu of real change, if you just are just sold this new thing, people will just buy this new thing. And that's, that can be problematic. And it's not to say that, and I come here and I throw that idea out there, it's not to say that you are an aspect of this model that I'm talking about, or that this community is an aspect of that model. It's just having a conversation and throwing out thoughts and saying, like, if I'm in a space where I'm not usually, and if I'm talking to people or for people hearing my voice that don't usually hear my voice, then I want to say things that they don't usually hear because that'll benefit them, right? It's like being exposed to viruses. It's actually good for you, right? You know what I mean? It's antibodies, and like a lot of the viruses, the so-called junk DNA in our systems, like a lot of stuff probably came to us through viruses. Like probably spread it around. You know what I mean? Like got into us. Got infected us and stuff. And who knows what it's doing or what? But I certainly don't know. Anyway,
Right? No, I hear you. This our community in general is, and me and you have talked about this many times before. It's a part of a bigger community, which is a part of a bigger community, a part of a bigger community. But the problem is the community that we're in has a lot of toxicity in it, and it has a lot of putting yourself in a box, like you said. And as much as it is, I even doing the show myself, I'm not channeling, so I get maybe a tenth of the amount of views on these shows that I would a channeling. But for me, it's fun to talk to people about things that maybe have been talked about a million times, or maybe they learned about albatross tonight, never knew about the story, right? Either way, I'm having fun, and that's what I want to do. Channeling is
well,
great.
makes one of us. Jesus,
No doubt, right? So
pulling teeth over here.
So let's go from what you've seen in the community, and let's move over to the RPG, to your RPG channel and the new things that you're doing. Can you explain to us what it is? And because I still don't fully understand, because I haven't had the time as you've been making this new channel to go over.
Listen. You're not alone. No one understands, including myself. Listen. Okay, check this out. Okay, so a couple of things. I went over. So I had banned. It was my intention to just start the RPG channel, when the tabletop RPG channel, just because of my love of tabletop RPGs, as a basically as don't worry about it. I'm trying to keep it tight. Okay. Things. I can do this. 2018. Here are the pieces that come together. Hold on. In the year 2000, I started noticing that it seemed to me that there were a lot of things in culture that were repeating themselves, that basically the 2000s were looking more and more just like the 80s. This is back in 2000. I started to collect all of these things that I started calling evidence of what I was calling a 20-year nostalgia loop. And over the next couple of years, I kept on keeping these 20 examples of these 20-year nostalgia loops, in the feeling that I was going to one day make a book about this stuff. The book never materialized, and it just ended up becoming this kind of private thought and idea that I would share, and I would think about constantly, how I would always notice that whatever was kind of going on in culture, in movies and music and media and arts and fashion, it was just basically, if I went and looked what was happening 20 years earlier, it was basically just the same gosh darn thing. Anyway, in 2018 on my channel, my YouTube channel, in talking about all of this stuff, for whatever reason, the 20-year nostalgia loop came back into my mind, and we started talking about it again. And it was at the tail end of what I was also talking about with this secret space program whistleblower school I had. Looking and spending all this time looking at these various jabronis on, the Corey Goods and the friggin', Captain Randy Kramer, all these people claiming to be part of these SSP programs and all this stuff. I basically came to understand and knew what the SSP whistleblower playbook was. The story you told, how you told it, what you needed to say, how you needed to say it, gain a sponsor, a handler and all that stuff. And I made a series of videos. You can find them on my channel, the CW Chanter Secret Space Program Whistleblower School. And basically the whole premise of it was to basically say, hey, if you want to be one of these guys, hey, there you go. Spirit of the Trees, I think, says, oh, there you go. You could go, and I could teach you how to be a Corey Good. If you want to be Corey Good, I can teach you exactly how to be Corey Good. I watched this guy. You want to be Simon Parks, I can teach you how to be Simon Parks. So anyway, I said, let's do something with this. And so in 2018, because of this 20-year nostalgia loop, I said, let's try and turn this into a time travel experiment. And so I came up with the idea kind of spontaneously of this kind of self-hypnosis time travel protocol that for whatever reason seemed to work, of only listening to music from a particular year. And that because the 20-year nostalgia loop was so powerful, that if we only listen to music from exactly 20 years earlier, like it's 2023, so if 20 years ago is 2003, if you only listen to music from 2003, and you only watch movies from 2003, and you only watch TV from 2003, if you kick your ass to only watch media and only experience media, only read books from 2003, if you do that for just even a couple of days, if you really kick your ass to stay locked on target on 2003 because of this 20-year nostalgia loop, because 2023 is so already smirched with 2003 already, basically what starts to happen, it starts to kind of morph. And when we did this time travel experiment in the tail end of 2018, where collectively me and a whole bunch of people started only listening to music from 1998, we had all these rules. You would only listen to music from 1998. You would only read books from 1998. You only read comics from 1998. You only watch TV from 1998. And if you had to watch something from an earlier time, if you had to see something from something else from another time because you were just driving yourself crazy, you would watch something, read something from before 1998, right? The whole thing is you're trying to create as best as you can 1998. You're trying to create 20 years ago. This is at 2018 that we're doing this. And what's the analysis of a magical spell working, as magical ritual? You try and see results. At the end of about 2 weeks of this process, a week and a half of this process, people started having effects. I had a kind of a weird experience. I had a relapse. A whole bunch of people had relapses. People freaked out. People just had different things. And after that experience, I continued to stay on working with this 20-year nostalgia loop. I started working with different loops, 30-year loops, 25-year loops. It was what it was. I abandoned the loops for a long time because of different experiences I had in my life. And I went through different transitions with my life and different things in 2022. But coming into 2023, I've revitalized this, what I'm calling this applied time travel technology, and marrying it to this new concept of a meta RPG. So we're taking this time travel technology experience, we could technology, highfalutin language for just basically masturbate on a nostalgia trip. But bro, I'm telling you, it works. It works.
I've heard you, and I can tell when you're being sarcastic or just being a
Yeah,
jerk.
I'm telling you. So listen,
you're being honest about
so
the
I'm on. So
experience.
there's ways that you can play this meta RPG. The first level is you simply play on the level of, let's see if we can do the time jump. Let's see if we can go back to, look, a really easy one to do is a 10-year loop. Go back to 2013. It's indistinguishable from 2023. YouTube is there. Almost every single YouTuber that you're subscribed to probably still existed, maybe existed back there. A lot of them already did. So you could watch all sorts of content from 2013. You watch movies from 2013. The technology is almost indistinguishable. The CGI is just as good. You won't be able to tell the freaking difference. Oh, by the way, this is so crazy. And then you start noticing all these crazy synchronicities. You start noticing mad crazy synchronicities, and you just start realizing stuff because just reframing your mind, looking back and reading David Icke from 2003 while simultaneously reading David Icke from 2013. Believe you me, you get insight. If you meditate on what David Icke, who's definitely a leader in this community, was writing exactly 20 years ago, and you study that at the exact same time you're reading what he said exactly 10 years ago, oh, snap. What you realize is it's fashion. Guess what he was talking about 10 years ago? Remember the archons? Do you remember the archons, Rob?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Where'd they go?
Yeah, and I didn't hear anything about it from that. But to be fair, I don't listen to much David Icke or anything. I did a little bit back then, but not so
no
much
doubt,
anymore.
right? There was like that year. It was like 2000. It was 2013, right? It was like the year of Sophia. John Lamb Lash, archons. Sophia, John Lamb Lash, archons. Sophia, Sophia. Everyone was about the archons, archon this, archon that, archon this, archon that, and then all of a sudden, no archons, right?
Yeah, kind of one-hit wonder.
How does that happen? How does that happen? Only in America, only in the universe, only in the metaverse. Sorry, archons, right?
Yeah.
Like the Zeta Reticuli, the poorest bastards in the world. Once upon a time, the Zeta Reticuli, the Greys, right? They were the shiznit. They were the ones, right? They were there, right? Like, messing with Benny and Barney Hill. They were the champions, right? Close Encounters of the Third Kind, right? The big guy. I'm the biggest Grey, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, I remember this. My media professor being like, I had this like great media professor, this guy, Professor Chesler, and he was like, the big one represents the spirit of their people. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? This is the fucking leader. I was like, he was great. I love this motherfucker. He was great. And when I learned he passed away like years ago, but he was a fucking awesome guy. I remember him being like, he was nuts. I remember being like, but that was like media study. That was like the 90s when people were like going to school, like everyone had their degrees in communications and shit. They were taking those media studies classes where people were like spending $50,000 of their parents' money to go get a degree and writing a master thesis on like why Star Wars, how it relates to Buddhism and shit. You know what I mean? What happened to your screenplay, Jonas? Oh, you're working at Starbucks? Fuck. I'm not trying to be like Jonas. You fucked up. It's like, that's like life. Like, you know what I mean? You will go away one way. Anyway, all sorts of ways to play this meta RPG. You can travel back in time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you can do it that level. But if you travel back in time through using these things, when you travel back in time, you can see there's Dungeons and Dragons back in time. There's Tunnels and Trolls. There's, choose your own adventure books. So you can play games back in time. There's also video games back in time, like Zelda.
Lots of
right?
them, yeah.
You think about this is anything you want to do, you can do. Basically, it is look. It's not the sort of game you explain by telling you, here are the rules and this is the way you do it. It's the sort of game you explain by saying, you subscribe to the channel, you come to me, you hang out, and it doesn't make any sense until it makes sense. And the minute it starts making sense, get out of there.
Run.
You know what I mean? We're in trouble. The saga continues. You basically, think about it. You're trying to offend. Think of the nerdy role player games guys that you knew in high school and try and think of engaging in an activity that would drive them absolutely up the wall. Right?
Right.
So then you're on your way. Imagine your inner nerd going, that's not a role playing game. And then you are on your way. Do you know what I mean? You're on your way to knowing what you're doing. Have you ever played role-playing games? Do you ever play like Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that?
Yeah. I did some Dungeons and Dragons in early high school and a little bit in my 20s.
So you know the score. It's not that complicated, right?
No.
You're an imaginary guy. How do you figure out if your imaginary guy or gal succeeded or lost? You roll dice to determine the outcome of the situation. And that's basically, basically the same situation. We just don't have given standardized, rules, and you don't need to worry about making the game about fighting people. You can just be, I'm thinking about ways to describe it to people. And one way I thought about it today was think about it as like remote viewing with your eyes open. You're alive in a world of possibilities. If a live action, are you familiar with the concept of live action role-playing games? Have you ever heard of a Larp?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. A Larp is where people, instead of, gathering around a table and imagining, in either the theater of the mind or little, miniature pieces on a board, playing a role-playing game that way. A LARP is where people will actually dress up in costumes as the elf, as the wizard, and they'll run around, they'll run around in the forest and they'll play, they'll fight each other with like battens, with foam battens and as the swords and stuff. And they have rules and they play the game, but live action. and the Daniel Middlesfield Memorial Park in Burbank's, Gatun, whatever, becomes the magical land of Smelltown or whatever it is for that time. That's the live action role playing game. SSP TTT, the meta RPG, is not a LARP. It's a meta RPG. It's not a live action role playing game where you stop normal reality and enter a consensual imaginary space. We play the game in the real world. We never leave the real world, though we travel through time. We travel through time metaphorically and imaginarily here in the real world. We don't leave. We don't cease to be us. You can either play the game by simply being a participant in the time jump experiences of attempting this AirSats self-hypnosis, time travel experience, joining in with the collective game of doing this. Does it work? Does it not work? Doing it collectively together all around the world, the dozens of us that are doing it. Does that add to some sort of collective energy? Right? There's that level. And then there's the next level of, going one step level deeper of being like, and then the CW Chanter is these, extended rules of, while we're playing this game, we can also generate energy by rolling dice. Die energy generation. Oh, so easy. Just roll dice. And you generate energy, like it's taking the tropes of role-playing games, generating hit dice, rolling dice and adding up the numbers, but we're just enjoying the ridiculousness of taking those numbers and allowing those numbers to mean anything. It's this energy becomes a universal, fungible, and transferable good. You can make it HP. You could make it experience points to put into a character that you're generating in one of these games. And you could use these. You could make so if I'm going back to 1990, if I'm going back to 1993, and this printing of this book, even though this was copyright 1989, this printing was from 1993. Therefore, it's on the 30-year nostalgia loop. I could generate a character with the Player's Handbook, second edition, and then I could build a little fort in 1993, like a space fort, and I could generate characters using the second edition rules, and I could station them there. And then I could watch movies from 1993, and then when I watch movies from 1993, while I'm watching the movies from 1993, I generate spells by, when you see a trope, you name a trope. So if I'm watching a movie from 1993 and I see the virgin always gets away, like there's a virgin, like
Right.
in the classic virgin, like that's a spell. The virgin always gets away, right? And I can then roll dice, and I write next to it, the virgin always gets away, and I roll dice, and I got like 55. I could just use the virgin always gets away. I could use that 55 to just, this guy needs experience, so I just put 55 onto him, and I just take out that virgin gets away. It just use that virgin gets away for 55 points. But maybe I'm actually playing a game and I decide that I want to use that virgin gets away as some sort of magical power that he has. Like maybe he has some sort of ability to maybe he is like some sort of devotee, like priest, like cleric, like he's a virgin himself. Like maybe he's a pure, I don't do anything, so maybe he's got some sort of escape clause, like he can always move away from the bad guy at the ultimate end, because the virgin always gets away and he's a virgin. So I've never gotten laid, jerked off a whole bunch of times, I've never gotten laid, but whomp, can't die because the virgin always gets away. Right. And it's and that's what I'm saying. But the nerd would be like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That doesn't, what do you mean? Where's the rule for that? What do you mean? So what? That doesn't make any sense. And it's exactly. It's stupid. But watching a movie then all of a sudden becomes, I can't describe this all now. You'd have to go watch. This is okay. You can ID. You know what I mean? You want me to read all my notes now here? You have to watch the friggin' my videos. But it's you watch movies from 1993. You watch movies from not necessarily 1993. The time you're going back to. You turn the little things into spells. The spells have numbers that you generate with the dice, or with an app, or whatever you want, you know what I mean? And then you can use the numbers for anything. The numbers could be for, energy to do whatever, or you could use the spell to like, give different stats to things, or you could experiment or use them on yourself, if you need to do things. Or like I said, then you could go on special missions just, around the real world, you could pretend to be, something else.
Yeah, and I understand it's loud. I get the idea because
You
I've
understand?
done the
Explain it to me. Like
RPG.
I have
Right.
no idea what's going on.
I understand the gist of the it's a free play.
I understand the gist of it.
It's a free play.
I understand the gist of the concept of the thing that I
of
think
the ideology, right?
What?
No, I get it. It's that we're getting at the end of time too, so I want to make sure I squeeze in the lightning round.
That's
Did you prepare for the lightning round?
I didn't prepare for the main course. What do you think I'm prepared for? Like, yeah, you know what? I started. My thing was I was going to start at the end and work my way forward. But me, of course, I started the last minute. There's a lightning round. Oh yeah, well, because Rob, like all my friends, I watch all of your shit. I subscribe to my friends' channels, and believe you me, like all of my friends, I'll be sure to tell you, Rob, I watch none of your shit.
Well, you're gonna have fun then. I've got 5 or 6 benevolent questions. You can pass if you want, but people need to understand.
I'm going to make you. You are going to suffer, Rob. You deserve this. I'm going to give it to you good. You got 5 benevolent questions. I'm going to shove them right down your benevolent throat. I'm going to turn those benevolent questions into bad stuff.
The purpose of the benevolent questions is so that people can know you more than just the YouTube face that you are, because you're beautiful YouTube. But when you're on YouTube, some people see you as that little box. So we want to get you out of the box. We want to get you out of the box and get the fresh sniff voicemail.
Here's how you get out of the box. Get out of the box by playing this meta RPG. Oh, I didn't sing the song. SSP, TTT, the meta RPG. You like that? I got a tune.
You've got an actual.
I've got an actual tune. Now check this out. Check this out. Now you'll love this. Before you do the lightning round, check this out. One last thing. The jackass that sued me, right? Part of his whole case is this whole thing. I'm suing people because using this SSP thing. I fucking forgot. So I'm going to come up with the name of the title. We're going to call it the SSP TTT. We're going to call it the Secret Space Program Time Travel Technology. This motherfucker's already sued me. I totally fucking blanked on this because this case has gone on for so fucking long. I totally friggin' forgot about this thing. And I'm like, oh shit. So I just thought to myself, like, if he ever comes after me, I'll just tell him, like, you can keep Secret Space Program, and I'll just call it the Super Space Program. Like, the Secret Space Program, you guys are hiding in the dark. The Super Space Program, we're out here saving the day. So you go ahead and be the Secret Space Program. This guy Jabroni is still trying to tell people that he's the secret, that he created the Secret Space Program. He's still, this guy perjured himself on YouTube. Did you see that?
I watched his first and second round of inquiry for the court. Yeah.
Did you see the deposition? Did you see the videos where
the deposition 1 and 2? Yep.
Did you see the look on his face that he thought he had like got it? I was sitting there going, do you think that you just outsmarted? Like, do you think you're the first guy that thought up? Do you think that you thought that you figured out how to get out of I'm going to have my cake and eat it too?
What was interesting is how concerned his team was about who it was being broadcast to and why it was being recorded.
He overrules that whole friggin'. Do you see that poor guy, Matt? That Max Wojcicki or whatever that guy looks like? The guy looks like he's a friggin', he looks like he's day like 192 of the Iran Contra, you know what I mean, hostage situation.
I've only seen the part 1 and part of part 2 on
crap.
On the initial question.
I've never in my life have I seen someone be like so cavalier about completely. But then again, I was the guy. I was like, I'm not gonna get sued. I can never forget telling my ex-wife, my soon to be my now ex-wife, who was at the time, you know what I mean, like whatever. So at the time, she was like yelling at me because it was the height of the Kelly situation, whatever. She was like, "You motherfucker! You're gonna get fucking sued. You brought this whole fucking thing. You cost all your money." And I'm like, "This guy's not gonna fucking sue me." I said, "This fucking idiot. Of all the fucking things, this guy's fucking smart enough not to fucking sue me. You think this guy's fucking dumb enough to sue me? The thing we can rely upon. This guy's smart enough. This fucking idiot is smart enough not to sue anybody, right? The one thing this guy's smart enough not to do is sue anybody." The next thing I do is I turn around. He's suing everybody, including Gaia, a multi-million-dollar corporation. Like, the one thing you don't do. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sue Pepsi-Cola. I'm going to sue Coca-Cola. And you know what? RC can take a bite of this dick too. Oh, really? Can they? Okay.
Well, you've got
Schweppes.
that. You've got that in your you've got that in your resume, being sued by the famous guy community.
What famous? That's the other thing. You know, if I, in retrospect, when this whole thing came down, you know what the bottom line is this on this boy is? This whole thing was pay to play. This guy was everyone in this community needs to know that this community is approximately 1/3 to like a quarter of the size that people think it is.
I believe it.
People have no idea the bot saturate. When people talk about people using bots, they have no idea what that really means. Like the saturation of bot networks in this community is just so huge. You don't even need to buy bots to get bots. When I saw my numbers start to change and my views start to change in certain ways, I realized that a lot of my views were probably bots that were assigned to the guys and gals that I was covering.
Right. Yep. Yeah, no, I actually am very aware of this problem with our community. You see people jumping in and then they just skyrocket out of nowhere. And they're usually the ones who have the most to share that's really limiting people and negative, and helps people like a religious programming. It helps people divide up instead of trying to work together or whatever. But yeah, I believe it. I want to get the lightning round though, because we're already past our due date on time. So let's go lightning round. Question number 1: what is your favorite food?
My favorite food?
Yes.
Mashed potatoes.
Nice.
So typical.
No,
I'm born for the secret space program. I was probably raised there. I had a girlfriend that said you'd eat anything that was white or orange. I'm like Mr. Generic, like Bachelor Chow. I'm ready for the friggin' hook me up to the machines.
All right.
Is that really it's just like, yeah, I guess that's what I answered. I'm gonna kill myself. This is like benevolent question to expose me for the friggin' lameness that I am. Really?
What do people say? Like couscous.
Oh, it's couscous, so it's broccoli and fuck. No, I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, mostly number 1 is pizza, believe it or not.
Oh, friggin' oh my god, and then everyone's gonna be like, child molester. Remember from pizza pedophile. Neo-Nazi pedophile likes that pizza boy. Oh, now we know what's up with Rob. Okay, cool. Calling the police. What's your next benevolent question?
I'm trying not to wake up the baby. Hold on.
Was that a challenge or a question? Done and done. Hey, kid.
All right, let me see.
Garbage, you goddamn fuck.
What is the favorite song and/or band? Not so benevolent question. For you, I know.
Not doing that. That's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured that one would.
Oh Christ!
No, you could spend a week just talking about your favorite band. I'm sure. What is your favorite color?
Oh God. I think it's like a greenish blue, definitely. Like it's gotta be definitely like I love blue and I love green because I know green is like a healing color. I definitely get so many awesome vibes off green. And I love blue, so it definitely have to be like a greenish blue, like an aquamarine kind of thing. Love that shit.
Yeah, it's a good color.
No doubt.
Okay, where's your favorite what's your favorite animal? That's a new question. You're the first I tested it on.
Yeah, like a cat.
Like a house cat or like a lion?
A house cat.
Okay. Good enough. All right. So
like a house cat, like the size of like the house cat, the size of like my final form. I think that the final battle will probably be like a house cat the size of I don't know, like 10 Intrepids, like the USS Intrepid, like a big thing.
Head like
with wings.
a head like a bus.
Yeah, pretty big. Yeah.
Okay. So what's your favorite all the places you've ever been in the world, what is your favorite place to just enjoy nature and the beauty?
New Jersey. New Jersey is the Holy Land.
Yeah, yeah, you're a
Yeah, New
Jersey
Jersey is
boy
the
through
Holy
and
Land.
through, aren't you? Is
I
there any
love New
place
Jersey.
in Jersey that's not a city?
Any place in New Jersey that's not a city? Yeah,
I've
absolutely.
only been to Jersey City and right over the tunnel, so I don't know.
Oh no, no. The majority of New Jersey is not necessarily urban. There's plenty of urban New Jersey, but there's plenty. That's what I love about New Jersey is that it's this great like this perfect, like it's got everything. It's this great mix, and it's from it's got beaches. There's times of the year that you could experience like almost like L.A. or Miami, and you can then another time of the year you can experience like a New England winter. It's a magical land.
All right, well, fair enough. And what is and this is the last one, and this is the least benevolent question, but it's still benevolent mostly. What's your favorite childhood memory?
Oh, oh shoot. I really, it's very, it's a very hard. I wish I had known these questions. Did you provide people these questions in advance?
No, I give them an example, which was, what's your favorite color?
Okay. Gosh, I gotta tell you, you know what I mean? Like that, I have a hard time with questions like that because I'm so like, I know that there's people that'll just be like, oh, this, that, but I'm the kind of guy like I immediately am being like, what the problem is that I'm good. If you say to me, what's your favorite? I'm going to want to give you an objectively correct answer, meaning I want to evaluate all of my childhood memories to figure out which one is my favorite. Do you know what I'm
Ah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
You've
Do
asked me,
you,
you've asked me, you've asked me like you've asked me a qualitative question. Which of your childhood memories is your favorite? And that requires me to, evaluate and rank them. And it's like I can't even recall them all.
well, all right. So, what's the favorite vibe as a child? Because one person had an answer; they enjoyed being able to get on their
Rob, I gotta
bike
tell
and
you,
fly
I
around
know, and
town.
I don't want to bum anybody out. My childhood was terrifying.
So none did
Yeah,
pretty much didn't
it wasn't
exist.
really a happy
Well,
place.
fair enough, and that's why I was actually a little concerned about asking because I knew it
Yeah,
would
no,
throw
no,
you off.
it's quite. There were, like, there were definitely times like I remember like being with my friends and there were like it's tough. You know what I mean? It's tough because
Yeah,
it's tough when you are finding moments of security and rest in moments of kind of upheaval and trying to call those happy memories. It's
yeah.
not like there were memories after childhood that were much better, but
Well, give
if
us your
putting them into childhood,
earliest memory that you can have that was really happy for you.
I think this is this is just a difficult. I think this is it just I just have difficulty with these sort of questions.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, brother.
Yeah.
No worries. So now we're gonna get to the part where right before you tell everybody where to find you, how to connect with you, how to watch any of your channels that you've got. First, I want to say thank you, brother, for coming on. I know
No
this is
problem.
a mixing of two worlds, as it were, and controversial guest or not. I fucking love you, brother.
I love you
You
too,
are a
man.
good friend of mine, and I love you very much, and I appreciate you being here. And I thank you for sharing what you do with everybody because as unpopular as it is with some, as exciting as it is for others, you share exactly what you think and feel, and that's hard to do, especially with a fluid audience of boos and or praises. It can be tough either way. So thank you for putting yourself out there, brother. I love you a bunch. Please
No
tell
problem.
people where to find you, how to find you.
I wish I could tell you. See, here's the thing. Here's the great thing about me. I really don't give a damn. Like for like the year, like for the longest time on my new RPG channel, I've been telling people, hey, if you look at the description box below, you'll see the links to all my channels except my main one. And that's because like I'm the type of guy like I copy and paste the same, channel links, to the videos, and all I need to do is add the main one to that thing once, and I just keep on not doing it because I really don't care. Like, I know in a world, I could tell people, in a world of people that are trying to, push themselves onto you and really kind of, market themselves onto you, you really have a different experience with me on YouTube. I'm really, getting in my own way. What I'm offering people is an opportunity to play a game and and experience this thing. Blueberry Wolf Bridge parentheses no intro RPG is the RPG channel. CW Chanter is the main. You can find me all over the place. You search for CW Chanter, you're gonna find my main channel, and then from there you go in the description box below and you just start branching out. I got an Instagram where I post a lot of pictures of AI generated art for no reason, and I'm on Twitter. I plan to fuck around there with this meta RPG, and we're gonna be having like fun, getting larpy, getting confusing, getting playing activities and doing things. And so if you want to do things, if you don't want to just sit there like a bump on a log in life, if you want to mess around, if you want to get your fingers in the paint, come over to my channel and see if there are paints over there that you want to play with. There may not be, but maybe you say, you know what, but that idea of getting fingers in the paint, I don't want to necessarily do that, but maybe I'll go over to my own channel, start my own thing and do something a little bit similar, a little bit different, and maybe maybe you find yourself wanting to subscribe and hang out and listen, whatever.
Well,
You'll find me all over the place.
All of the links that we have for you are also in the description. No matter where you're seeing us, check it out. I also want to let you guys know, go to the Matrix Mind Media Facebook page. They're going to have the late show tonight. It's an open call-in show. So give Matt a call. Hang out with Matt. I'll be there hanging out with Matt too. CW, thank you, brother, for being here. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Love you, brother. Thank you so much.
Love you too. Anytime.
I'll have you back again. We'll do this again.
Please do.
Like, hell yeah, let's do it, right? All right. And then Alan Steinfeld, everyone, next week. And we have a question to ask him from the previous week. Yes. So.
I mean, just say it, like, yeah, I mean, and you don't have to. And look, Rob, can I tell you something? Rob, I promise you, I will have totally forgotten. I assure you that I will not be tuned in. I will not be following up. I do not give a flying F about following up with pictures with Marina unless she's posted more pictures. You know what I'm saying? The only thing you know what I'm saying? I am as concerned for the state of people have told me time and time again that they are interested in craziness. So I say people's right to be interested in craziness. So I'm getting crazy. Let's get crazy.
That's what we do here, right? All right, everybody, catch us next week, 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern, that's 7 Pacific. We live stream and simulcast from Enlightenment Evolution, our Facebook page, the Matrix Minds Facebook page. Thank you, Matt, for letting us use your page as we're sharing all of our shows there, too. Go see Matthew tonight and see him Friday as he has 2 special guests. Love you guys. YouTube, too. ET Whisper, you know where to find it, guys. Love you guys all so much. We'll see you guys next week on the other side. Thanks again, brother.
No problem.